interested in film. I always loved sort of all the old 80s films with creatures and big makeups and things, but I didn't know I wanted to do it as a job. When I got to sort of late teenage years, I decided I sort of quite like making fancy dress costumes and stuff like that for parties, so I got a place on a BA course, technical theatre. We did lighting, sound, stage management, costume making, prop making, set construction, that. And I found that I was sort of gravitating towards props and costumes, making stuff. Found I liked that. When I graduated, I got a job at a place that made specialty costumes, lots of sort of space suits and aliens and all that sort of thing, armour. And I found myself more and more gravitating towards the mould making, casting, sort of technical aspect of it. And I was lucky enough to get a place in the mould shop on Prometheus for the prosthetics department. And I've pretty much always been in prosthetics since then. Just found it suited me. Pretty much everything we make here is cast out of some sort of mould, be they sort of makeup appliance pieces or bodies, limbs, bits of things. And I design and make most of those moulds, and then when we're really busy, I oversee the rest of the mould shop team, up to about 5 or 6 people at the height of the build, and I normally lead the life casts. So the first thing we do is life cast an actor, most commonly a head, but it can be any body part or a full body. I'd generally lead that, and then we get a plaster out of that, which would go to the sculptors. They sculpt their makeup on it, and in the meantime I'll get another plaster out of the life cast mould and make a splayed core, like this blue one here, so we can make a mould on top of that. The silicone department will be able to run nicely. The sculptor puts their sculpt onto the core, it comes back to me, then I make a silicone mould with a fiberglass jacket. Once that's complete, I hand over to the silicone department. They run them, which means that they generally spray cap plastic into the mould and then fill it with the silicone that will actually be the finished prosthetic appliance. It's quite critical with a lot of the other departments. If they get something wrong, it's not much time wasted and they can sort of fix it fairly easily. If silicone runs a bad piece, it's a shame and it sucks, but you can run another one fairly quickly. If we mess up a sculpt during the moulding process, then that could be like a few weeks of work that you've sort of trashed and it's someone else's work. So yeah, there's some pressure to not mess it up. The most challenging thing is probably designing the moulds so they actually work, and when you hand them on to the next department, they can run them and use them without too much of a headache. I like it because it is almost like engineering. It's problem solving. You've got to know the materials, you've got to know all the processes and that. There's some creativity in it, but it's more about just really nailing the processes. It's really nice going on set. I normally get to go out for a few weeks at some point just to help putting the white masks on and off and do sort of random repairs on them. It's nice just to see stuff actually being used, to see it once it's all stuck on someone, painted up. Normally I only see it as a bit of plastiline on a core and you don't really appreciate it, but when you get out there and you see there's 50 people all with these lovely makeups on, it sort of gives it some context and makes it worthwhile. My favourite part's probably designing the moulds. It is the most challenging, but it's the most rewarding. It's nice to make them as well, but once you've done one bit of clay work, it's quite similar to another thing, whereas when you're designing something, you get to look at it and think, how's the best possible way of doing this? What will make everyone else's lives further down the line easiest? What can you do the fastest? So yeah, it's quite satisfying to do that. The life casting process, if we're doing, for example, a head, because that's the most common thing, we get the actor in, normally put a bald cap on them to cover their hair up, unless if they've got a shaved head, that's brilliant because you don't have to worry about any of the hair or anything. Then we put a bit of Nivea on any sort of hair, eyelashes, eyebrows, just in case it pulls. The moulding silicone we use does have a release agent built into it, but it's just to be safe. Then we get the two parts of the silicone, mix it together, which starts the reaction going. Apply it all over their head, face, neck, shoulders, normally come down to about here. That goes off in 4 minutes, 3-4 minutes, depends on the temperature. Then we do a second layer all over to thicken it up. And then it sets to a flexible rubber, so it's quite tough, but it's not rigid at all. So you have to make a 2-part plaster bandage jacket for it, which just is a rigid frame to hold it still, basically. Then you take the two parts of that off, cut the silicone up the back of the head, because that's where the seam matters least, and pop them out, and that's it. If you're life casting an actor that you know of, or you like them, their work or whatever, you've sort of pretty much got to keep a lid on it and just be completely. I try and be stone faced and just pretend I've never heard of them before, because you don't want to get all geeky fanboy and be like, oh, I love you. Most people are fine in life casts. Some people don't like it. Some people find it really relaxing. I've had very few people have a really bad time. I think some people find it claustrophobic, just because your eyes are closed, you can't see, you can't hear very well, and you're just completely isolated, and you just got to trust these people that you've never met before to cover you in this gunk and then get you out without pulling anything off. But yeah, nothing bad's ever happened. Some people just don't enjoy it. The best advice I could give is practice. Just keep doing it over and over again. No one's good when they start. It's just through experience, through messing stuff up a load of times, finding what works, what doesn't work, and just thinking about every step when you're doing it, why you're doing it, how could you do it better, what's the next thing after this, what can I do earlier on that makes it easier further down the line, and also just be nice, because there's lots of good people, but if you've got two people that are equally good, it's whoever the boss likes more, is a more agreeable person that's going to get the job. So yeah, there's nothing specifically that I wish I would have known, just generally that stuff's always going to go wrong, whether it's your error or just a material goes wrong or bad luck, stuff's going to go wrong at some point. Don't freak out, just learn how to fix it really, really well and quickly, and yeah, that's it.